I just got off the plane. I mean, the Elon tweet reply, Tesla earnings, we got so much to cover. I just can't go to bed. We got to be scheming, right? So the first thing that I want to cover about Tesla earnings is Elon Musk's reply to me on Twitter because he let something slip on the conference call. And obviously, I'm always thinking about what industries is Tesla going to disrupt next? You know, is it planes? Is it boats? Is it trains? What is the skunk works of their battery and, technology going to lead to? So Elon lets it slip. This sort of bifurcation of battery chemistries, nickel, sort of higher energy density for bolder, ambitious things, iron for lower energy density, less like where you don't need as an energy dense battery. So this to me was such fascinating insight because Elon is always teasing the electric plane, electric boat. And this is what I asked about on battery day. It was like, okay, is the 4680, what else does this enable? It's not about the 4680, it's about Tesla's skunkworks battery division. And so I tweeted, did Elon Musk just say nickel-based cells for ships and aircraft, electric boats and planes coming? And he replies, ships are probably fine with iron cells, but aircraft need very high energy density for good range. I'm not saying Tesla will do aircraft. We just have our hands full with cars and solar and battery and power generation. Just that max energy density is needed for aircraft. So my reply to this tweet, which I haven't sent out yet, would be yes, but the pace of innovation in high energy density batteries is, whoever's leading that charge is gonna have the best shot at developing an electric aircraft. And that is exactly what Tesla's doing, in my opinion, is they have the sort of, torpedo of R&D that is Drew Baglino and that battery team at Cato Road that's gonna be able to come up with a battery cell. Who's it going to be if it's not Tesla to come up with the nickel-based high energy density cell for planes? Yes, it's way down the road. There's too many boxes to check, but I just think this is super duper exciting. And I'm so hyped that Elon is dabbling and thinking about it because I don't think he would say that if he wasn't thinking about it. But the other point of this is, and I know this is like such a weird time, midnight call. I'm in the middle of I literally just got off the plane and I'm getting on another plane at 6 a.m. and then because of a total debacle that I can tell you about at the end of the stream. But that's why I needed to get all my ideas out now. So a few things about the conference call. I would say some of the biggest news that came out of it, besides the hint about planes and boats, but that's so far down the road, is Elon's gonna be off the conference call. Nobody's hyped about that, right? Like, we love hearing about Elon. We love hearing from him. But I don't know, ever since the let's go to YouTube moment, let's be real, the conference call has been toned down, a little bit less exciting. Elon Musk has gone from sort of off the cuff to, speaking the script. And this conference call was a lot of Elonisms that we had heard before, frankly, which I thought was kind of interesting, but you can just tell that I think he's getting bored with it. And this is a sign of maturity. Before every conference call there was so much pressure on it. It's like, is Tesla gonna be profitable? Are they gonna survive? Are they gonna meet all these crazy deadlines? Now the ship is running smoothly. This is a natural sort of maturation of Tesla's business model for Elon to get off the conference call. This is why Jeff Bezos wasn't on the Amazon call for years. So I think this is a huge positive move. And someone's saying, is that the end of his tenure as CEO? No. And Elon Musk, as much as he is the CEO of Tesla, he's really the chief engineer of Tesla. And that's where a lot of his value comes in. And so I think it's super important to remember that. And everything that Elon can do to focus on engineering and scheming up the product roadmap is going to drive the most value to Tesla. And so I think this is a great move. It's a sign of maturity of the company. I'm kind of hyped. I'm bummed that we don't get to hear from Elon every quarter, but frankly, the last few quarters have just been such cookie cutter information. He wants to save the presentations for the product announcements for all these cool events. That's when Elon's going to be having fun with it and doing it. So I don't know. I'm kind of hyped that Elon's getting off the conference call, a nice little evolution, growing up moment for Tesla. Next thing here, the 4680. So this is what the Tesla battery cell. This is what we all want to know about. Not in the plaid. And now Elon's saying, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't hyped on this. On the call, he's like, we do have a backup plan to use 2170s for the Model Y in Berlin and Austin, because originally the Model Y in Berlin was going to be the first one with the 4680s. But now it sounds like they do have a backup plan to have the 2170s there. So that to me signals another delay in the 4680s. And so that's kind of the negative side of it. But the flip side is it's still going to happen. It's just such a bold, ambitious thing to get right that it's going to take a while. And the other key thing that I took away from this is Elon's comments about nickel versus iron, how much iron there is in the world. This is actually huge because Tesla, by innovating with that structural battery pack and making so many different innovations in the sort of first of all, the way the battery goes, the way it's actually structural, so you don't need to have this pack housing it. It's lighter, you can use a smaller battery. Basically what it boils down to is Tesla's unlocking the opportunity for new materials like iron to be practical for long-range mass market EVs by innovating in other parts of the battery. This is super, super key to understand because if Tesla can do that, I don't know, I just feel like it wouldn't have been possible, like nickel. A few conference calls ago, Elon was pounding the table saying we need more nickel. Now, they couldn't do that, and so they had to come up with a way to use iron instead. So I think it's so incredible to me to watch Elon and this battery division sort of morph to what the world's resources are, you know, like and move to this sort of nickel or iron-based cell. So I thought that was a really interesting clue. And then another big clue that I have here is the FSD take rate. So full self-driving, the subscription rolled out. Elon Musk and the team was saying, we don't expect too much of an impact from this until mid next year. And so I thought that was super duper interesting because that kind of gives you a hint of when he thinks FSD is going to be good enough to have a wide rollout. And so reading between the lines there, it sounds like we're about a year away from the full self-driving beta really getting to the mainstream and at least getting good enough to even beyond just being accepted everywhere to really drive adoption of that service. So I don't know. I thought that was really kind of interesting insight there. Cybertruck is delayed. That's also tied to this 4680 thing. So I don't know, I think we saw that coming. A little bit of a bummer there, but I don't know. I think the Cybertruck was always a little bit too ambitious of a timeline. So the Cybertruck delay, another piece of news there. Another thing that I wasn't expecting on the call is this semiconductor shortage. This is something we've been hearing a lot about, but the semiconductors are apparently is this worldwide shortage, and Tesla, unlike every other car company, was like totally just having these horrible quarters and blaming it on the chip shortage. Tesla's having amazing quarters despite the chip shortage, and they're finding all these crazy ways to innovate and navigate around it. Like the way that Tesla works, I mean, oh, we can't use this chip, we can use that other chip, we can get our software team to code this new thing for that, the new type of chip and be able to integrate that. I mean, it's incredible that they're able to pull that off. And so I think it's a huge testament to the Tesla team that they're able to push through this semiconductor shortage. But what Elon said on the conference call is like, any force majeure that happens in the world, Tesla's such a global company with such an integrated supply chain and so big that if the chip shortage gets worse, that's not Tesla's fault, but that could impact the trajectory of the company. And the flip side of that is like Tesla could be growing even faster if they didn't have this semiconductor shortage. Like that is the thing constraining them, not like people don't want the car, not like they can't build enough of them. It's like the entire world literally doesn't have enough chips to put in cars, and that's the reason that Tesla doesn't have, is limiting Tesla's growth. So when you get into the fact, like, you know, you try to think about companies, like why aren't you growing? Like if your biggest problem is so many people want your thing, but you can't get it to them, that's a good problem to have. That's what Tesla's always running into. Ooh, K10, what's up? But yeah, so I thought this was a boring conference call in the best way. Like the Model Y, I mean, thinking this through even more, the Plaid S and X they only delivered a super tiny amount of cars, but were not positively contributing to the gross margin. Those are Tesla's potentially by far highest margin vehicles. I don't know if they're subsidizing a lot of that new motor cost in that new Plaid, so maybe it's not quite as high margin as you would have expected, but it will be over time. But I think it's insane to see the numbers they put up, despite not having the Plaid S or X. So you take that into account. We're looking at 24% gross margins with all these other things weighing that down. The normalized gross margins of Tesla's products that are at maturity are even higher. So thinking this through, and I was actually just a ride home in the airport with Julian, shout out to Julian, we were scheming on this, and it was like, dude, like they are really maturing towards Apple-esque margins in the long term, like 35, 40%, you know, gross margins, 20% operating margins is where Tesla's headed. And it's all gonna happen in the next year or two. So that is incredibly exciting. And yeah, I don't know. Overall, it was a good call. I'm really curious to see, you know, they do have some comments about the 4680 and about how it is making progress and they're getting through all these roadblocks. And then there was a lot of commentary on the call about Drew and Elon saying, we're gonna have the equipment to have this massive capacity of 4680s by the end of 2022, but will we get them in the production good enough and all these sort of manufacturing efficiencies ironed out to really be able to achieve that? That's TBD. So, you know, classic Tesla, super ambitious with timelines to do the impossible. It always takes them a little bit longer, but they're getting the impossible done. And when you take a step back, first principles, who's moving as fast as possible in this? It's Tesla. Everybody's saying cough, cough, Apple. Is this about the battery materials thing? Because Elon did throw some shade at Apple being like, bro, people are beefing with our tiny little cobalt content that we're actively reducing, while Apple has like huge amount of cobalt content in their batteries. That's actually one thing that I think is super important about that people don't understand about Tesla. Like even I posted some Instagram story about Tesla. One of my friends is like, oh my God, did you hear about the lithium batteries and how bad they are for the environment? It's like, oh my God, dude. Like even with the lithium, Tesla's working on this new way to extract lithium in Nevada that's way less carbon intensive, that would do that. And so I don't know, I think it's super fascinating to watch Tesla do R&D on the materials that are going into batteries, because that seems like such a big constraint. The walled garden. Okay, walled garden about Apple. I'm curious what y'all are thinking about that, because this is relative to the Supercharger network. I mean, the Supercharger network opening up and having other cars on it, I feel like it's going to take longer than Elon says. And this rule about the timing and the rate of charge, are other companies going to be able to manufacture their EVs to charge fast enough at the Superchargers not to clog up the network? That's super important, because if you're like, I went to the Santa Monica Supercharger, which they're expanding now, but if you get there, it takes forever. So it's going to take a while. But oh, walled gardens. Yeah, and so, the walled garden thing is very interesting. I don't, because Tesla is really like, they're right now, what Tesla is like the most Apple-esque model of walled garden. Like, they've been following that playbook to a T, and I would say it's been working extremely well. But going forward, they keep flirting with opening this up in a big way. And so it'll be really interesting to see how this actually manifests and sort of happens. Mobile superchargers that come to you, I think that's awesome. And I also think the charge rate of the new 4680 battery cells could be much faster. And so that's something I've been really impressed with. And I also think the supercharger network gets a lot of play and is amazing for road trips. But when you own an EV, you're also charging it at home so much. That's another big thing to consider, that everyone has chargers at home already. So you don't need as many superchargers as gas stations, except for road trips. So yeah, that's what we got going on here. I mean, man, it was honestly, okay, deep down, I'm a little bit bummed that Berlin and Austin are not going to be using the 4680, because that's definitely a little bit of new news. So that's going to be happening. Any other comments here? Okay, the last thing I do want to cover, I'm getting a little tired here, but I haven't slept in like 24 hours, honestly. But the Tesla CyberCargoShip, okay, I don't know if this is what Elon was saying when he talks about boats, if Tesla will even do boats, I don't even know. But I'm just getting carried away with this vision of cargo ships and like cruises, like if you look at the port of Seattle, you see these massive ships like going in and out, and like they're super, if you Google it, there's like a lot of, pollution and emissions related to these massive cargo ships transporting things across the ocean, and they don't need to go that fast, right? And so electrifying those is super interesting. And so when Elon was replying to my tweet saying ships are probably fine with iron cells, but aircraft need very high energy density for good range, I wonder, maybe the weight requirements are less. I wonder if he's thinking about tiny boats or huge boats. Like, that to me is so fascinating. Like, is Elon Musk, because this vision that I have of like, imagine a cargo ship designed like the Cybertruck, and then it has deployable solar wings that I don't know why, I don't even know if the physics of this are possible, but I just feel like this would be like such, like, invest in the future you believe in. Like, the future I want to see is like a super crazy, like, maybe it's also a submarine too. It's like this crazy Tesla cargo ship that's like super chic, super aerodynamic, and then it like shoots out these solar panels and is charging up, and it's like a totally green way to move across the ocean. Wind turbines on the side, great idea there. I just think that would be, I don't know. And the fact that Elon replied to this tweet, like, I feel like Elon wants, okay, does he want to do an electric plane, or does he want to do his vertical takeoff and landing jet that's a supersonic jet, or is that bougie? Is that like the private jet of the future, and we're still going to have electrified, pretty standard commercial aircraft? I don't know. So I think that's, solar sails, lots of schemes here. See this cyber cargo ship idea, I just feel like from like a engineering design perspective of so much crazy exciting potential in it that I just would love to see Franz and Elon go to the board and just go all out with that. And the Cybertruck did have rumors of deployable solar wings, so I'm not crazy when I say that, I think. Yeah, the URL of the tweet should be in the link below, and the shareholder deck that Tesla put out is in the link below. So do we have any questions there, or anything else? FSD, it sounds like a lot of updates are coming. I don't know, it's interesting because my another big high level takeaway from the call is the 4680 and FSD may be moving a little bit slower than we want, these bold, ambitious new tech projects for Tesla, but the profitability and sort of the core operations of pumping out the Model Y is going so well and so savagely profitable. Like, they have got the business case of this Model Y. I mean, this is such a profitable vehicle for them. And I also wonder if the exporting from Shanghai versus Fremont is also impacting margins in a big way. The cost structure much lower in Shanghai than Fremont, and now they're selling them to Europe maybe for a similar price. All of a sudden they're capturing more margin with that new export thing. So I think there's so much, so much potential there. And building on that, China leaning into an export hub for vehicles for Tesla. What's good with the Model 2? Is that going to be something where they're going to export from China globally, or are they going to build that locally? I think there's a lot of questions there. Okay, somebody said, when's the Cybertruck coming? I think the Cybertruck is going to come My guess is the first Cybertruck gets delivered in July of 2022. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that's where my gut is right now. And that'll be like the first 4680 vehicle will probably be in the Cybertruck. Although it's interesting that they could, it's all about scale, you know? And I think the Cybertruck, it's going to be a very slow, steady ramp at first with every vehicle with the 4680. And I don't know, man, it would be a bummer. Everyone's waiting for their Model Y in Berlin to have the 4680, then it might not have it. That would be, I don't know. I feel bad even saying that because I also think as Tesla fan people and sort of investor nerds, we put way too much thoughts on what's the battery in the car. It's like, who cares? Does it go far enough? Does it work? Does it last long? I think that totally works. Like, I think we need sometimes. Otherwise, you're overthinking the range. Okay, so any final questions here? I'm going to think if there's anything that I wanted to cover. I think the cash flow number and the GAAP earnings number. I mean, 12 billion in revenue, 1.3 billion in profit, 2 billion in operating cash flow. I mean, that is insane. I just think the financials, it's boringly good. It reminds me of when Apple was growing and just crushing it quarter after quarter. Like, I don't know, it was like 10 years ago, and they just have these nonstop sort of whirlwinds. And so Tesla Energy looking good. Did we cover Tesla and Bitcoin? Not yet. Anyway, this is my wrap up. I wanted to just give y'all a couple minutes, late night scheming, just give you my high level thoughts on the quarter. Amazing quarter for Tesla. I think we're at, and I saw the limiting factor, who's he has got an awesome channel, right? I've had him on Hyperchange. He said a tweet like, I'm buying Tesla shares for the first time in 2 years. And I was like, damn, like I kind of have FOMO and like, I'm feeling that too of like, this just seems like this was such a strong financial quarter and there's so many pieces in place to take things to the next level that are imminent, that this just feels like Tesla's in such a strong position right now. Tesla's biggest threat is themselves messing up, honestly. I just think nobody's gonna be able to catch them. So anyway, this is Hyperchange, late night, midnight scheme. If you have any tiny more questions, maybe I can get to them. All right, compact Cybertruck. I don't know about that. I don't know, the Tesla electric airplane. Like, I have to feel like is Elon, okay, this, right? Like, he keeps talking about the electric airplane. I feel like I've bugged him about it so many times. Like, I asked him about it at the Third Row podcast, at Battery Day, on this tweet, like, and then he's always like, we're too busy. But is he sandbagging? Has Elon finally learned? Is he sandbagging the plane, right? Like, I don't know. I think, I just feel like the Tesla plane, like I just took a plane, right? It sucked. It burned fossil fuels. Like I wish Tesla would design that. So I don't know. That's like one thing in my life that I want to see Tesla. Like I'm so like curious, like, you know, thinking of the box of Tesla, we all know the vehicle product lineup they have. But if you are the fastest pace of innovation in battery technology, most sustainable batteries, most recycled batteries, the most high energy density batteries, the biggest battery production, the lowest cost of batteries, you are going to be entering these other industries that need to be electrified. And I think Elon said in Battery Day, like, we will electrify everything with the exception of rockets. So you think about what's happening in 2027, that's the time where I think we can revisit the Tesla cargo ship and the electric plane, and that'll be epic. The home AC product, we haven't time to get to that yet. Although I did see a startup that someone emailed me about. It was a bunch of Nest and Tesla engineers who teamed up on this home AC thing that's sort of like a sexy sort of startup AC that cleans your air. That's kind of what I thought Tesla would put out. So that's something I'm gonna check out and cover more on the channel. But anyway, wanted to say late night scheme. This is so fun. I had to just catch up with y'all. Tesla earnings. I mean, the energy's off the charts. Tesla farm equipment. Oh, that's another one. Man, there's so many ideas here. Okay, I'll see y'all next time. Thank you much for tuning in. Love y'all. Have an amazing night. Happy Tesla earnings day. Oh, thank you for the super chat. DJ Medusa lives. Great midnight scheme sesh. Peace out, homies.